The following program contains shockingly brilliant insights. If you suffer from a lack of dark sunglasses, Randall may not be right for you. Check with your optometrist.
Proclaiming the truth in the highways and byways of the world. Fighting for justice in the dark alleys of politics. Raising the voice of resistance to a fevered pitch. And he knows where to find the best and worst jail food in America. Randall Terry.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It is I, your servant Randall. It happens once a year to everybody. Oh, I feel good. You know what I need to enjoy my birthday? Just some quantitative easement. Let's relax on the QE2. It's the Good Ship Lollipop. Oh, we're going to talk about it today. Today's program brought to you in part by the Federal Reserve. It's not federal, and it has nothing in reserve. And by Charles Ponzi, the patron saint of Social Security. What a scheme. I'll go away for a minute and let my good friend with that weird lip say something. Go ahead.
Hey there, partner. Welcome back on the ranch. I want to give a hats off to Mr. Boehner, Mr. McConnell, who are starting to talk tough again. Well, I'm sorry, I'm about to laugh, because they're talking, we got to be careful. We got to cut spending because that debt ceiling's just getting way out of control. Well, that's like, saying, we're going to go out and shear some sheep now. You know what's about to happen. The enemy's going to be coming after them, and they're going to be shearing their hind ends instead.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Good Ship Lollipop. The world is going to hell in a handbasket, but we're going to feel good about it while it goes down the drain. Bread and circuses. Oh, there's so many things I want to say today. I admit it. I'm a troubled soul. In fact, let me read to you with my official Elton John glasses. Let me read to you a little passage from the book of Jeremiah. Jeremiah said, "Oh, that my head was a spring of water and my eyes a fountain of tears. I would weep day and night for the slain of my people." You see, Jeremiah saw what was coming. It wasn't actually that people were dying at that point. He saw what was coming. And he lived in that prophetic reality of what the future held. And he said, "Oh, that my head was a fountain, and my eyes just a river of tears, so I could weep and grieve for the slain of my people, for the slaughtered of my people." I want to talk to you today a little bit about money. There's so much that we are facing, and most of us are just clawing our way to exist, to survive. We're worried about a gallon of milk, $4. We're worried about rolls, $4 for rolls we bought for Easter. It's craziness. There's a passage in the book of Deuteronomy that says, God gives you the power to get wealth so that he may establish his covenant. It is God that gives you the power to get wealth so that he may establish the covenant. In other words, for the extension of his kingdom on earth. How many of us have actually viewed money, my 1 ounce fine Troy silver eagle, how many of us view money as covenantal, as something really spiritual? There's a passage in the book of James that says you ask and do not receive because you ask with bad motives, you ask amiss, so that you might consume it upon your lusts. A lot of us have thought that God was a kind of a Santa Claus in the sky. He is there. The Lord is my shield and butler. You rang. And we expect God to just throw us toys and trinkets so that we can consume it upon our lusts, not understanding that money, wealth, is covenantal. It's to establish justice and righteousness in our families and in the earth. So instead of pursuing justice with our wealth, we've pursued self-gratification, ease, and the fruit of this is in how wickedness has begun to prevail all around us in the culture. For example, the killing of our babies, no big deal. I mean, 2 million dead babies right now. If most of us were put on trial for conspiring to end abortion in America, most of us would be acquitted. Not guilty, not guilty, no evidence. No, Your Honor, there's no evidence that my client ever tried to make abortion illegal. And that's just one example. So we're just a little bit out of whack. And if you understand that money is covenantal, when we get displaced in our attitude about money, and when we put money on a pedestal, and when we begin to deify money, to bow down to the golden calf, as it were, God from his heaven says, they're starting to irritate me. I don't know if he says it with an Irish accent or not, but God starts to say, something is wrong here. Jon Stewart, Stephen Colbert, you're making good money, but you're not promoting justice and righteousness. You're putting money ahead of life, so you're going to have neither. God can take away our wealth like that. So let's talk about how it's happening before our very eyes. Mr. Bernanke, the head of the Federal Reserve, has told the world that he is going to wipe out the United States national debt by printing more money. Huh? Can he do that? Is it legal? Oh, it might not be ethical, but they're doing it right now. And that's what we need to talk about. I want you to go to the news and Google QE2 in quantitative easement phase 2. As you might have known if you're a regular viewer of my program, we've been talking lately about money. We're talking about the value of silver and the value of paper money. Well, the United States has gotten itself into a bit of a pickle with its debt. And so what it's been doing is allowing the Federal Reserve that prints our money and gets our money into circulation to buy our debt, to buy treasury bonds. One economic expert that I read said that this is what we call monetizing the debt, or it's called printing money, or it's called creating money from thin air. Now, some of us who have watched economics from afar over the years have wondered, well, why don't they just print more money? Well, the question is, number one, if they did print more money, how do you get it into circulation? How do you get it into people's hands? Do you drop it from an airplane or helicopter? Do you drop it with a big, huge parachute in bales on pallets and say first come, first serve? If you could do that, what do you think would happen? If $100 bills just literally were printed as fast as they could print and were thrown from airplanes in the sky, so we all got it, what do you think would happen? That's right. The price of things would start to go up really fast because you had a lot of these papers and the amount of goods didn't change. So people saying, oh, I want that, oh, I want that. Oh, I've always wanted a mink coat. We run out and grab the mink coat, and instead of it being $5,000, there's 4 people right now saying, I want it. Before, maybe there was none. Now there's 4. And the person who has the mink coat says, well, the price yesterday was $5,000, but today it's $7,500. And then 2 people peel off, say, I don't want it, that. And the other 2 say, no, I still want it. And so you see the prices of things start to jump somewhat quickly. What the government has been doing with so-called QE2 is basically injecting money into circulation by allowing the Fed to buy debt. Because the Fed doesn't have massive reserves of gold. The Fed is authorized to get money into circulation. So what it's doing to get the money into the circulation is it's creating money from thin air to pay the people who have a government treasury note, a government bond, people who have loaned the U.S. government money. What does that do? Say it with me. Inflation. Now, to make matters more complicated, the government and the Fed have held interest rates to all-time lows, okay? Interest rates are really low right now. But are people buying houses? Not many. Are loans being made? Not many. You see, the other way that money gets out into circulation is for the Fed to allow a bank to loan you and I money, more money than the bank actually has on its books. So in round numbers, if the bank has $100 and it goes to the Fed and says, this person wants to borrow $1,000, the Fed says, okay, as long as your 100 is sound, we'll give you this money. We'll make you the conduit to get money to that person. That person then gets the 1,000, even though the bank didn't have 1,000 to lend. That person gets the 1,000 and goes out and buys a car or a house. And when they buy that car, the person who works at Ford or at General Motors gets to keep his job. Or when they buy the house, the person who works at the lumber yard or for the builder gets to keep his job. And then they get their money at Ford or at the builder, and they go out and buy a television from Walmart, and Walmart stays in business, and the Walmart door greeter gets to keep their job. Well, it works until it doesn't. It works in the short term, but at the end of the day, it's still paper money. And when people start to get afraid and they don't spend money, then what happens? It's called deflation. I'm going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit about deflation. We'll talk a little bit about this bad boy, this beautiful piece of silver, and what you and I should do to protect ourselves a little bit, because this isn't just an exercise in Economics 101. This is an issue for some people of survival. Because if we have massive inflation, if the value of the dollar collapses, whether it's overnight or in slow motion over a 6-month or a 6-year period, we're going to have a real shortage of bread, and our circuses are going to be worthless. I'll be right back.
Randall and I made a trip to Mars as part of a secret project. Okay, I lied. It was actually to the moon with Neil Armstrong.
Moments with Moses. If you chance to come upon a bird's nest in any tree or on the ground, with young ones or eggs, and the mother sitting upon the young or upon the eggs, you shall not take the mother with the young.
All right, say it with me. Deflation is a debtor's hell. Say it again. Deflation is a debtor's hell. Now, what does that mean? And why is deflation something that the government is also afraid of? Well, let's say that you were doing really well in life and you purchased a $500,000 home, and you had a little bit of money in the bank and you put down, say, 20%. So your mortgage was for $400,000 and you had $100,000 worth of equity in your $500,000 home. And then the housing market collapses and your house is now worth $350,000 tops, maybe $340,000, because people aren't buying, all right? There's not a demand. The value of the house drops. It's deflating. Inflating is going up. Deflating is going down. And so there you were, happy in your $500,000 home, a beautiful home. And it wasn't too ostentatious. It was, some of you are watching in small towns and you're thinking, man, $500,000 would buy me a mansion. And others of you are living in New York City or Los Angeles going, $500,000 would buy me a shack. location really matters in real estate, all right? So those of you who live in the big cities, don't be contemptuous. Those of you who live in small towns, don't be jealous, all right? The point is this, that you suddenly go from having a $500,000 home with $100,000 equity, and maybe you could get a line of credit and you feel good about the world, to being what is called upside down, where you owe more than your property is worth because of deflation. And so we say the phrase, deflation is a debtor's hell. Because now you're the debtor, you owe money. You owe more money than the house is worth. And so you get a job offer, or you have a sick parent and you want to move. Remember now, you've got your $500,000 house, what used to be $500,000, now it's only $350,000. And all your equity, that $100,000 that you had saved up so hard and you made as a down payment, it's gone. It's wiped out. Not only that, but you go to the bank and say, I'm trying to sell it and I owe you $400,000 or $397,800 because you've been making principal payments, itty bitty ones, while you pay all that interest. And you say, I've had it appraised and it appraises at $350,000. And I can't even find a buyer for $350,000. What do? You walk away. You start to say, every penny that I put into this house is money gone. And the bank has a collateral mortgage on the house. They can take the house. And this is not the way I wanted it to go. And I'm about to lose everything. Deflation is a debtor's hell. I had it happen to me. I know. Okay? I know of which I speak. Now, the number that I saw recently was about $14 trillion that the citizens of the United States collectively lost. About $14 trillion just evaporated with the housing crisis, the dropping of real estate values, and the corresponding drop in the stock market, the 401k crisis. So what happens when people lose all this wealth overnight? Some people are done. Their credit is shot. They can't get a loan. So it doesn't matter if interest rates are at 2% because their credit is ruined and they cannot go out and buy a house. That's one option. Another option is they're more frugal than that. And so they're just trying to save now. Now they're thinking, well, I already got wiped out once. I need to just tuck some money away, and I'm not going to go buy a house, and I'm not going to go buy a car. I'm just going to try and have a little savings over here. Maybe I'll put it in silver or in gold or in wheat or in oatmeal or something that if everything goes to hell in a handbasket, I could at least feed my family. And so people become very cautious. So even though the government is artificially suppressing interest rates, we're still in a deflationary cycle. Real estate has not bounced back. People are not grabbing loans and running out and buying stuff. And meanwhile, to complicate matters even more, the price of precious metals continues its march upward. Silver was within 20 cents of $50 the other day. It's back down to 46, 47 right now. If you're watching by tape, maybe silver is at 60 or 70 by now. The point is that people are starting to wise up and they're starting to get afraid because you can't eat your Mac. You can't eat your, what's that thing, that new Mac called, that little thing, the notepad? iPad. You can't eat your iPad. Okay? I know that we've got phenomenal circuses. Listen, when it comes to bread and circuses, the Caesars would drool with envy if they had at their disposal what Barack Obama and Harry Reid and John Boehner have at their disposal to seduce us and to keep us preoccupied and keep us entertained like a bunch of stupid mules. The Caesars would drool if they had these circuses. But at the end of the day, you can't eat your circus. Well, as you know, ladies and gentlemen, there are people in this world that are committed to taking away your Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms. Geronimo, what do you think about people trying to take away your guns?
I think they can have them. Bullets first.
I have no fear of the future. Let us go forward into its mysteries. Let us tear aside the veils which hide it from our eyes, and let us move onward with confidence and courage. Sir Winston Churchill. Oh, hi. Oh. This iPod is really cool, but it tastes horrid. Like, no nutritional value. All right, listen to me. Focus less on circuses. Do yourself a favor. Step away from your television. Use your internet. Start to Google economic issues. Go ahead and do a Google news search on QE2. Do a Google news search on the value of precious metals. Do some research on commodities. I'm talking about the price of wheat, the price of corn, soy, pork, etc. Knowledge is power if it's just knowledge, if it's holy knowledge, and if it's linked to corresponding action. The Bible says that the wise man sees danger approaching and prepares for it. The fool passes on and suffers. I'll be right back. For behold, God is my helper, and the Lord is the protector of my soul. Turn back the evils upon my enemies, and cut them off in thy truth. James Madison said, charity is no part of the legislative duty of the government. Friend, we are in an economic pickle, and I'm telling you right now, don't look to the government to save you. The Savior was born in Bethlehem, okay? Not in Hope, Arkansas, not in Texas, certainly not in Kenya. It is not the duty of the government to save us. And the more they try and save us, the bigger the mess it is that they make. God bless you. See you tomorrow.